Everybody, Legend for Life here, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today, this is the first in a brand new series that a lot of people have been asking me to do, and along with just more chaotic stuff in general. But this series will be Chaotic 101, or in other words, basically how to play Chaotic. So Chaotic is a pretty simple card game overall, like once you get the hang of it, but it can be a bit confusing to first-time players and people just kind of like watching as you're playing. Trust me. I've already gotten a ton of weird looks from people playing with my friends and stuff at like the locals and everything. And really, honestly, so if I'm gonna be doing more chaotic videos like deck profiles and stuff, like a lot of you people have been asking, I need to at least explain how to play the card game, because it is a card game that not many people know how to play. I mean, a lot of people know of it, but they don't know how to play it. So that's what this series is going to be doing. I'm just going to be going over the card game, how to play it and everything. In this particular video, I'm going to be introducing the 5 card types, and that's about it. I'm going to be taking it kind of slowly with these videos to really try and answer everything and be able to get as much information for you guys so that everybody can just really be able to like learn and figure it out easily. I will also be including a link to the most updated version of the rulebook down below. I found a PDF of it online, so yeah, be sure to check that out in the description down below. So, first and foremost are creature cards. Creature cards are very much like the main heart and soul of the game. So, there are 5 different card types in the game, and you need all 5 for a standard deck. And creature cards, well, they're the most important, in my personal opinion, because they're very much how you, like, the end goal of the game. The end goal of a duel in Chaotic is to defeat all of your opponent's creatures, which, depending on how they play it and how you play and everything, it can be very difficult, as with any duel and like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff. So with a creature card, there's a lot of text on these, so I'm going to be going over each one by such. So first and foremost, up here in the corner, you can see their tribal affiliation, and you'll also notice that their border will be the same color as their tribe's color. Overworld is blue, Underworld is red, Mepedians are yellow, Danians are like brown copperish, Marillions are black, and Tribalists are white. So yeah, and that's basically all those. You don't really need to worry about tribe too much, except for certain card effects and whenever you're building your deck and everything, as well as also with build restrictions. Next up over here is rarity and set. So up here in the corner, you can see something that's like a little like wave, and then super, and then like over here like 3 waves, while this one's like 4, I think, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 over here. So yeah, like that basically tells you what rarity and what set. So obviously this is a super rare and this is an ultra, and then this tells you that this is like this like weird like sickle looking thing. Tells you that okay, this is from the 2nd block, so the Marillion Invasion block, and then the 3 waves tells you that this is from the 3rd set. Likewise, this is from the same block, but from the 4th set. It's something that Chaotic did that I really like. Like with the first block, with the Dawn of Peril block, with the first set, it was just like the Chaotic logo, and then the 2nd set, it was the Chaotic logo, but with 2 dots, and then like the 3rd set was the Chaotic logo, but with 3 dots. And then with the 2nd block, they started off with the waves and everything. And in the 3rd block, they started just doing completely different icons for every set. It was weird. But makes kind of sense, because like the 1st set in the 3rd block was like the actual city of the elements. And then the 2nd set, which is going to be fire and stone, was kind of like just a fire icon and a stone icon. So really, honestly, all that is it denotates which set and everything. Kind of like how in Yu-Gi-Oh! They have like the sets acronym along with like the number and everything. Now I think there are numbers actually down here, and actually you can kind of see it. These are terrible scans of the cards online, but you can actually see their like set number down here. I think that's like set number 16 out of 120 something. Chaotic sets are huge, by the way. They're all like comprised of 100 plus cards, which they kind of need to be, because you have to have a pretty decent amount of all the 5 different card types in order for like the set to be really fleshed out. Now then, getting off that tangent, excuse me, we have the disciplines over here. Disciplines that consist of courage, power, knowledge or wisdom, and speed. So courage, power, wisdom, and speed. These are the 4 main disciplines of every single card, well, every single creature card. And really, honestly, they have no effect on the actual game except for whenever it comes to stat checks, stat challenges, and stat fails, along with a few other things. Now, I'll cover stat checks and the other stat things in another video, probably whenever I'm going to be covering terminology and attack cards more in depth and stuff. But, however, just keep that in mind for now, that really, honestly, aside from that, like, these really don't have that much of an effect on the actual game. Over here, you have the build restriction. I had to include 2 cards because I couldn't find one that was legendary, unique, and loyal. I don't think there are any like that yet, or I think there's like a battle gear that is. But anyway, so legendary, unique, and loyal. These are all build restrictions in whenever you're actually building a deck. Other than that, they don't really have an effect on the game other than just how you can build a deck. So legendary states you can only have 1 legendary card in that deck. So, for instance, if you play Bear of Beyond, Underworld General over here, you cannot play any other legendary card. Doesn't matter what card type it is either. You can't play it. You can only play 1 legendary card. So if you play a legendary Bear of Beyond, you cannot play a legendary location card, or attack card, or battle gear, or music, whatever. You can only play 1 legendary card. And then you have unique, which states you can only play 1 card, like 1 copy of that card's name. This is where things get a bit confusing because there are retrains of various different cards, like for instance Maxor. He was one of the big guys from the first set, and he got 2 retrains later on. One we never actually got released, but we knew of. But the second retrain, so like I remember there was this frequently asked question thing on the forums way back when, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but I remember an admin replying that if a creature says unique, which you can only play 1 copy of a creature that says unique, even if you have like a retrain and the old one, they still count as the same monster because they have the same name but different titles. So you can't have the retrain and the original in a deck. Just something to kind of keep in mind for like deck building and everything. So you can't have Kaor and then his retrain in the same deck. That'd be stupid. You cannot do that. It'd also make no sense lore-wise because they're the same guy but different parts in time. And then loyal, this is actually an errated text because in the original 3 sets, Dawn of Param, Cenith of the Hive, and Silent Sands, loyal was not a actual card text, but rather it would just say insert name here, cannot enter mixed armies. But starting with the Muralian invasion block, they just errated it and said loyal. Now, loyal, basically, as I just said, you can't enter mixed armies, so Iflar here cannot play in a deck that has Underworlders or any other tribe in it. He can only be played in a deck consisting of entirely Mepedians. And that goes for Maxor, Kaor, and any other creature that says loyal. They can only be put into decks consisting of their tribe. You cannot mix any other tribe into it, which is very, very, very restrictive, obviously, and they do it because it's supposed to add more balance to the game, and it does. And it's one of the reasons why Chaotic is one of the most balanced card games I've ever played, because of these 3 restrictions. Basically, they got away without having to have a ban list because cards were already limited and stuff. Speaking of, the standard playset for Chaotic is 2. You can't play any more than 2 copies of a card in a deck unless like it says unique or legendary, which obviously you can only play 1. Over here we have the 4 elements: fire, air, earth, and water. Obviously these are grayed out because this guy does not have them. But however, these various icons, just basically if it's colored in, they have that element. If it's not, they don't have the element. And it's very, very important when deck building to keep an eye on which creatures have which elements and everything. And you generally want to try and keep all your creatures to have the same elements. And thanks to later things released in later sets, you could get away with it a bit more because battle gear and some music and stuff allowed you to give creatures more elements. But however, early on, there really wasn't much ways to do it. So you had to really kind of build your deck around what elements your creatures had and everything like that. Also, there are ways, obviously, to give them more elements, as I just said, but they also introduce ways of just getting rid of elements and doing other things. And elements is very, very important when deck building that you got to keep in mind of. Now, over here, you have card text. That's just their effects and stuff, and then sometimes you'll get a little, I believe flavor text is what they call it, just kind of detailing the creature card. Like, for instance, it's just kind of talking about Iflar here and how he's, oh, hey, he's so scrawny and weak, why am I not covered in bruises? Kind of making fun of how his effects over here, which, of course, I will detail invisibility and untargetable, which obviously is kind of self-explanatory in later videos whenever I talk about the various different, like, standard effects you'll see. Over here is energy, basically hit points for your creature. Very, very important. The higher the hit points, the better, generally speaking. Most creatures that are like muges, which is basically a mage, they generally have lower health. Like, I think every version of Nadrin, one of the most well-known muges in the game, has really low health, which is kind of sad because he's generally a pretty good monster. Over here, speaking of Mugic, you have Mugic ability. Basically, if that creature can cast Mugic or not. Mugic being this game's magic. Mugic cards we'll cover later on, but basically it's magic. And the reason why it's called Mugic is because whenever magic is played in the show and stuff, or sorry, Mugic is played in the show and in the lore and everything, it plays a little song along with it. Sorry about the cut, guys. My thing stopped recording for some reason. So, anyway, so Mugic ability, we already covered. And then down here, for the final thing for creature cards, and for every card in the game, is that at the bottom, you will see this little thing right here. And I know that, like, it doesn't have a code on here, because these are proxies. But, however, every single chaotic card has a little code at the bottom of the card. That code you would type into the official site, and then you'd get that card, but digital. And obviously that's really irrelevant now because the online site's down and everything. And even if it was still up there, due to the lack of employees and everything, and the inability to verify that you were a real person, not just a bot or something, you couldn't actually like type in codes. It was really annoying because whenever you'd make an account, you couldn't type in codes until you verified that you're a real person. And because you can't, like, because there was nobody to actually send out auto verification things or something, I don't know, but for some reason they would stop sending those. Very, very annoying. Anyways, next up is Battle Gear. Battle Gear is very, very important to Chaotic and playing it and everything. It's basically just gives your creatures more abilities. It starts the game face down, and then whenever you go into a battle, it flips face up. You don't really get a say in whether or not it flips face up, but it does. Battle Gear, again, is very, very important, and like with creature cards, it can be unique, loyal, and legendary. I don't know how come Battle Gear can be loyal, but in like one of the latter sets, they did introduce Battle Gear that was so powerful that they had put unique, loyal, and legendary on it. Granted, they didn't put unique on it because, you know, legendary already is basically super unique. So yeah, Battle Gear is very important. It gives your creatures buffs. This one right here is the Drow skin. And this is actually the hardest to get promo in the game. It's like $400 if you do have it. And it's considered to be one of the best cards in the game. Personally, I think it's okay, but eh. Anyway, so yeah, like Battle Gear can have all sorts of different effects, such as giving your creatures Mugic, preventing attacks, giving them more health, giving them higher disciplines, all sorts of different things. Battle Gear and what it does, there's all sorts of crazy effects and everything. And you really just got to read what it does. But yeah, generally speaking, it's always a good thing to have a Battle Gear on your creature. Locations, and what is up with that graphical glitch PowerPoint? Locations are also very, very important because they determine who gets to strike first. So at the start of your turn, you flip up the top card of your location deck, and then you have your creature attack your opponent's creature, and then you look at the initiative. Okay, all locations have initiative, whatever. Okay, that can be element, discipline, past, type, creature, whatever. And basically, whoever wins that initiative gets to activate the first attack card. And it basically, if neither player gets the initiative, then the turn player does. And down here, you will have their actual card's effect. And you'll notice that location cards are sideways because they're done in landscape instead of like, I forget what the vertical type of picture is, but locations are done in landscape to make them look more like location pictures, paintings, stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's kind of weird, but so therefore, like looking at it and reading it, the code is over here. And then you of course got the rarity and set. So yeah, really honestly, locations are of course very important. They have a variety of different effects and everything. And the most important thing about them is the initiative. Generally speaking, when you're building a deck, you want to pick locations that you will almost always get the initiative with. But your opponent's going to be doing the same thing, so you got to be careful about that. Next up are attack cards. Attack cards are, well, they are attacks. They have all sorts of different effects. They can do all sorts of different things, all sorts of different amount of damage. And really, in all honesty, the big things I need to point out is this up here, which is the build cost. Build cost has no effect on actual gameplay, just on actual deck building. Whenever you are building a deck, depending on if you're building it for a 1v1 or for a 3v3 or 6v6, you got to keep in mind how many attack cards are allowed and everything. Standard tournament play is 6v6, and in standard tournament play decks, which is of course 6v6, you are allowed 20 attack cards in your deck, and you are allowed to have a maximum build cost of 20. So you got to keep your build cost under 20, which Armageddon here, which is one of the most powerful attacks in the game, has a massive build cost of 5. A lot of attack cards that do a crap ton of damage have anywhere from 3 to 5. But the more common ones you see is 0 to 2. So you can really fit in a lot of good damaging attacks in. Speaking of damage, that is calculated based on the base damage here. And then you got the 4 elements. So basically, if you have that not that damage, but that element, you get that damage. And then down here, you would have an effect. So that can be anywhere from do more damage to heal your creature, to reduce disciplines, to such and such. I kind of picked a bad example because Armageddon doesn't do anything. It just does 50 damage and has unique. So you can only play one of it. Overall, though, attack cards, they can do a variety of different things. You really just got to read the card and just kind of, it's very self-explanatory. And then finally, for the last type we have, yep, just double checking the last type, that's 5, is Music. Music is basically spells of the game. They can also be kind of traps, too, if you really want to think about it Yu-Gi-Oh! Style. Music can be activated at any time, so long as you fill the music requirements. Okay, so over here you have the music cost. Up here, you can usually tell by just a card frame. Over here you can tell what tribe that music is restricted to. There are obviously music for each of the 5 main tribes, and then there's generic music which any tribe can use. And generally speaking, music that is restricted to tribes is generally better than generic music, just on a general thing that you got to keep in mind. Music cost is over here. If it has the music symbol with a 0, that means it's free. You don't need to actually pay anything. But however, if it goes up to if there's 2 over here, or there's a music built like a music symbol with nothing in there, then that means it costs 1 music counter, and then it just kind of stacks. Once it hits 5, though, they start just putting the single music counter with the number in it, because they don't want to actually have music counters all the way over here. It'd be very, very annoying actually counting all of those. But yeah, for instance, if you want to play that music card, it says 0, so you could play even with just this guy. Granted, though, he's an underroller, that's a Danian, so if you have a Danian with 0, then you could play it. But however, obviously, 0 drop music counters, music cards are generally not as good as the ones that need more. So yeah, that's generally basic thing. You got the effect over here. This one in particular just gets rid of a card from your discard pile, and then if you do, you get to activate Hive. And of course, I will cover Hive in the general terms and stuff later on, probably whenever I cover Danians, because I plan on doing a video talking about each and every single individual tribe. So yeah, guys, tell me what you guys think about this, if I did a good job of talking about the 5 main cards and everything. Sorry, card types. I want to try and keep these videos somewhat short so that people who are maybe not too keen on, going super fast, hearing me talk about this game so much, can, kind of just listen and hear and not really have to be here for ever, and maybe just want to get into the game. Now, of course, again, down in the description below, I will be including the link to the PDF of the most up-to-date rulebook for Chaotic. I highly suggest reading it if you want to get into this game at all. It's very, very important. I've been rereading it quite a bit, just refreshing my mind on everything. And thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. The next video, I will be talking about deck building and everything, and actually building a deck. So guys, thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and see you all later. Peace.